a man wrote the Bible?
A whore is what she was.
If it's a legitimate rape,
it makes her a slut, right?
Cooking can be fun.
Hey, I'm proud of a man.
This week in misogyny.
Sometimes you read a news story and the chauvinism damn near makes the pages stick together. But other times the questions of gender equality can be a little more subtle. For example, should women have the right to be forced to cover their faces in public by men? Well, according to the European Court of Human Rights, hell no. This is the latest and hopefully final chapter in the ongoing controversy surrounding France's 2010 law banning full-face veils in public. The complainant in this case was a Muslim woman who insisted that it wasn't some man forcing her to cover her face. It was an invisible man with superpowers. For some human rights activists, this is a sticky situation. For women raised in a culture that tells them not to show their faces, it can be as stressful for them as being forced to show their breast would be for a woman raised in our culture. The fact that there's more than a little bigotry fueling some of the support for it also doesn't help. All that being said, I'd say one generation of uncomfortable women is a small price to pay for future generations not being ashamed of their own faces, or their tits for that matter. Of course, for some people, the issue of women's rights are pretty black and white. Take Louisiana congressional hopeful Bill Cassidy. For him, it's as simple as handing your girly bits to the nearest man and asking him what you are and aren't allowed to do with them. This staunch supporter of abstinence-only education, staunch opponent of contraception, and fucking lunatic on abortion has a new grandchild on the way, via his 17-year-old daughter. When he announced the pregnancy in a local paper, he said, quote, "Our daughter now faces a more challenging future than her peers," end quote, which means he knows he's making the lives of young women harder than they need to be when he comes out against the problem, the solution, and the backup plan all at the same time. And from Louisiana, we'll shift to America's flaccid penis, Florida, where an argument about women's rights ended with a subhuman jackass punching his girlfriend's bunny. Now, I have to admit that when I first read that he punched her bunny, it sounded kind of like fun to me. But then I realized that this bubbling rectal ejecta actually punched a little cute, scrunchy-nosed, fuzzy-faced, floppy-eared, little adorable bunny rabbit. And we're not talking about the rabbit that Tim the Enchanter warned us about here. It's a goddamn little helpless rabbit. So here's a quick piece of advice in case this real-life Elmer Fudd is fucking listening. Nobody has ever improved their position in an argument by punching a bunny, unless that argument was, "I bet you won't punch that bunny." Sorry about leaving with such a depressing image this week, but I'll be back, and hopefully no animals will be harmed in the making of next week's segment.